So you're thinking about moving to Clark County, Washington, but you're thinking, man, the real estate market right now is just a little too crazy. So you're just gonna wait it out for a year or two. Well, that might not be the best idea, but let's talk about it. Let's dig into the stats, and I want you to be informed on what's happening in the real estate market here in 2022. Is it still a good time to buy? Are we gonna see a crash? Is it a good time to sell? We're gonna go over all those things in this video. So let's go over a couple things related to the housing market here in Clark County, Washington, and our outlook for 2022. And I think it's really important to keep it stats and fact related. So we're going to look at some articles. Let's jump into it. So first things first. Sorry, I'm at the bottom of the article when I shouldn't be. First things first is that we still have a surplus of demand and we don't have enough supply. So if you took a basic Econ 101 class, you know that when there's more supply than there is, when there's more demand, when there is supply, prices increase. So we can see over here on the left, here's our demand. Buyer traffic in the area in the country just a couple months ago. It's strong. I mean, it's those dark colors. And then you can see over here on the right, our supply, seller traffic, not anywhere near as much. You can see Washington is stable. I don't know if I'd say it's stable, but it's lighter than the buyer traffic. So that's just going to, by law, by nature, cause a discrepancy in the market and drive prices upwards. With regards to the home price forecasts for the next year that economists have put out, nationally they're saying between about 4 and 6%. And we know that over on the West Coast, and especially in the Portland metro area, because we're in a big metro area, we're going to increase faster than the rest of the country, like, you know, Kansas or Arkansas or somewhere in the middle, because we have a lot of great jobs, which is awesome. So I'm thinking we're probably going to be more in that 6 to 10% range next year, and there's no reason why there would be a crash. It just doesn't make sense. If we look at the National Association of Realtors Housing Shortage Tracker, that's what they have here. They have pockets of the country where housing is at a shortage, and our area, oh goodness, sorry, they have us marked as Portland, Vancouver, Hillsborough, so the Portland metro area is marked as needing more permits. So they say that for every new single family unit permit that's issued, there are 3 new jobs. So 3 people come in to get a job, but only one of them gets a house. And that means we're still at a shortage. And once again, that goes back to supply and demand and those fundamentals of econ. Now, let's also keep in mind inflation. This is one of the biggest things I'm talking about with people for the 2022 market outlook as well. Inflation is going to drive home prices up, again, because of inflation, 1, and 2, because it's a hedge against inflation. Because we printed so much money in the last 2 years, the stat is 40% of all US dollars have been printed in the last 2 years, you can see that inflation went woo at the end of 2021, whereas it's always at that usually stable like 2 to 3%, and it was at 7, it was close to 7 at the end of 2021. And the economists' forecasts are that it's going to go down, but still at the end of 2022, that's still looking twice as high as usual. So that brings me to our next article, which is real estate is emerging as a hedge against roaring inflation. So what we have now is folks are looking for their primary residence, they're moving here, they're getting a job here, whatever. And then we also have investors, extra investors that want to get in the game now. They're looking at their money in their bank accounts saying, my $100,000 isn't going to be worth $100,000 a year from now. I need to put it somewhere where it's going to do well and it's going to appreciate, not depreciate. Because if you're keeping cash right now, that's not going to go well. And real estate has always been the asset class that has performed really well in inflationary times. The last thing that I really want to touch on when it comes to the 2022 market outlook here in Clark County is interest rates. If you've been paying attention to the real estate market for the last 2 years, you know that interest rates were crazy low for the last 2 years, and now they are starting to go back up. Just from December to January, we saw like a 0.5% increase, and that caused a lot of movement in the market, but they're still really low at less than 4%. I mean, that's an amazing rate, and people are still going to want to take advantage of that, so that buyer demand is still going to be there. If we're looking at the rates today, conventional 30-year purchase, which most people are using, the APR for that is 3.747, and 6 weeks ago it was more around that 3.2% range. So we know that the Fed is going to raise rates at least 3 times this year, so by the end of 2022 we're going to be looking at higher rates than we are currently at right now.